Friday, March 5th, and it was about 10 to 12 or more degrees warmer today than it was yesterday, which made for a tough run and too many walking breaks, but I got through 5.6 miles, keeping me on pace for something. I don't know. I'm going to take my cue this week on what to talk about from Sabrina Cruz, Nerdy and Quirky, who recently uploaded a video all about small talk, which is something I have never been good at. I am genetically immune from any ability to schmooze whatsoever. I am not good at it, especially with strangers. Not much better even with close friends and associates sometimes. And so she emphasized a couple things: having things to talk about, having questions to ask, listening to the way people answer. And it's got me wondering about what makes a good conversation starter or sustainer. I surveyed my students today and asked them to give me one question, anything that there was on their mind. And it was kind of depressing because most of them just said no, they didn't have any questions. And it made me realize that we have conditioned students to think that the only questions they should answer or they should ask in class or in school or to a teacher are things having to do with the subject matter at hand that they're studying, that they can't just bring what's on their mind to the table. And that means they don't have really a full seat at the table, which bothers me. So I'm going to work on that, and I'm going to think this week, what are some of the questions that would work? And if you have good questions that you like, and I think that they can be big or small, leave them in the doobly-doo. Let me know what your good conversation starters or sustainers are in questioning for small talk and interacting with people. I'll talk to you again tomorrow. Hello again. It is Saturday, March 6th, and I just finished a late 5K. Didn't get out till after sundown today because I spent most of the day, all the day, judging a speech tournament for state qualifiers where Mickey is broken into the finals tomorrow, when I'll spend all day judging again. Interestingly, that relates, of course, to what I'm talking about this week: small talk and speaking and communicating with each other. And I don't want there to be any mistake. I am very pleased that both my daughters have been enthusiastic participants in speech and debate competitions. But at the same time, when I look at them and I participate as a judge in them, it makes me wish that we had some kind of event or some kind of focus where we spent as much time and energy on talking to one another in an effort to make connections rather than to dominate our opponents, which is often the case in speech and debate. It's just something to think about. I don't know how you would design that kind of cooperative, collaborative event to make it into any kind of game or sporting activity, but I would like it if there was such a thing. Talk to you tomorrow. Hello again. It is Sunday, March 7th, anniversary of Bloody Sunday. Not a day to celebrate exactly, but I had a good run today and spent most of the morning and early afternoon finishing up the judging on the speech and debate tournament for the state qualifiers. Now we are waiting for the results to see if Mickey is qualified to go on to the state meet. Fingers crossed, but we'll see. One of my favorite questions, it's really two questions. My favorite questions to prompt discussion, probably not a great icebreaker for someone you've just met, but I like to talk with people and ask what led them to be where they're at right now. What kind of sacrifices it took, or what kind of opportunities it demanded, and also what it means to be wherever they happen to be, whether it is a burden or an opportunity, and what are the implications and the possibilities really of being where they're at. That's a question that I like to hear from people answered. I once thought about making my whole YouTube channel focus on that kind of thing. Anyway, I'll give you some more questions tomorrow, and we'll think about how we talk and communicate, especially geared towards small talk and getting comfortable speaking with one another, especially among strangers. Talk to you tomorrow. Hello again. It is Monday, the 8th of March, and we were talking about questions, icebreakers, and conversation starters and extenders and sustainers. I think one of the most popular ones, but is still a good option, are basic inquiries into people's tastes. Your desert island discs. If you only had, 10, you could only take 10 albums to be stranded on a desert island with for a year. What 3 would you start with? Or what have you been binge watching lately? Or what TV shows would you like to see brought back from the past? Those kind of things. Those are always good, I think. I think they're relatively safe, but they still give people a chance to express themselves, give you some insight into their character and their tastes. I think it's important then if you use that as an introduction to someone, as a question, that you follow up, so that if they cite a particular album or artist among their desert island discs, ask, what's their background? Why that song? Is it because of, something in the lyrics, something in the music? Is it memories they associate with that with? Always curious about songs people remember the first time they heard it, when you can remember exactly where you were, the memories associated. I think that makes for a better extended conversation starter. It's one idea. Talk to you again tomorrow. Hello again. It is Tuesday, March 9th, and I just finished 5.6 miles. Talking yesterday about different conversation pieces, questions you can ask. One thing you want to keep in mind is you don't want to be confrontational. This is why, of course, we have standard rules of avoiding politics and religion at family gatherings in particular, but there are a few pitfalls in any set of questions or things to talk about or not talk about. You don't want to put a person on the spot and ask them too much that requires too much thought. So you want to be careful with those taste questions about your 10 favorite albums or most overrated artists or anything like that. But one that might be worthwhile asking, of course, is just to ask a person when you're meeting them, are you a reader? Because if they are, it doesn't matter whether they like manga, comics, or arcane medical journals. They're going to have something interesting to talk about. And if they say no, are they really worth talking to anyway? I'll talk to you again tomorrow. Hello, I am in Palm Springs today. I had an asynchronous work day doing room prep in hopes of actually having students back in class before too long. I'm in Palm Springs, and much of our land here is Indian land, the Cahuilla Band of Indians, Native Americans. Very proud to be associated with them at our school. So we had some staff meetings among the English department today, and one thing we discussed was when we do come back, which hopefully will be soon, but whenever it happens, that probably the whole first week we will probably concentrate on just getting people to be able to talk to one another, because everyone is very out of practice at that kind of thing, and it doesn't come naturally necessarily. So what we've been talking about matters, and we hope to be able to practice those things before much longer. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Hello again. It is Thursday, March 11th, and it was uncomfortably cold here today as our weather continues its up and down, back and forth play through winter. Rained a lot last night, off and on throughout the day, held off while I was running, but the sky is very threatening, and I only did a 5K as a result of all that. So we've been talking about talking, and I recognize it is somewhat ironic to spend a YouTube channel conversation talking about conversation, because these really tend to be fairly one-sided. We unfortunately missed that era where people responded with videos. That was a thing in the ancient history for those of you who weren't around. I actually missed all that. I came along in 2013 just after that had stopped, apparently. The questions that you've been seeing that I plan to add to this video all came from the impromptu speech category from Mickey's last speech and debate competition, and the students get to see those topics for 2 minutes, and then they have to speak on them for 5 minutes. And some of them are remarkably good at making intelligent conversation and even serious points in these conversations on these rather I think interesting, sometimes fairly bizarre topics. So I wish we could have more of a conversation, and I certainly hope someday we all get to meet face to face at another VidCon or some other kind of con or some get together. But for now, leave me some comments down in the doobly-doo. Let me know how things are going. Till next time, don't forget to be awesome, and I will talk to you again soon, hopefully. See that dark sky? It's pretty nasty looking.